Space. It's big. I can think of over 1,000 planets that exist. There's no way we can ever travel to each and every one of them.
Over 1,000 planets, all open for you to explore.
Where to start? In case you don't already know, the big Bethesda and Xbox showcase happened. We saw a lot of games, including a first look at some Redfall gameplay. But right at the end, we got our first proper look at Starfield, Bethesda's big new sci-fi RPG. We saw about 15 minutes of select gameplay, and boy, I was not expecting it to be so comprehensive. The showcase could be broken down into 5 sections. I'll briefly describe the highlights of each, one at a time, and then I'll share my thoughts. We saw our ship land on the moon of Crete, and we exited with my boy Vasco. On the way to fight some pirates of the Crimson Fleet, we spotted some alien creatures and used our visor to scan a plant, and mine some iron using our mining laser. It was at this point that I got some serious No Man's Sky vibes.
Yes.
The resource gathering has a purpose, as we will find out later. We battled the pirates, played a lockpick minigame to get a new weapon, and used our jetpack to fly around a bit. My thoughts. The visuals looked cool, although a little washed out, but they are going for ultra realism. So maybe the real world isn't that colourful. I'm not sure, I haven't left this room for years. Nevertheless, the world detail and lighting were fantastic. The player animations looked much improved over past Bethesda games, and the creature animations were very nice. As far as the combat went, I thought it looked okay. It looked quite similar to Fallout 4's. Improved, but not the greatest in the universe. The enemy AI didn't impress me that much. Sometimes they took cover, sometimes they just stood there and didn't really shoot that much. Also, the player didn't take cover all that much, just stood out in the open and got shot. It wasn't terrible, but hopefully can be improved before launch. It isn't the biggest issue really, just a small concern I have, but moving on. We saw jetpacks being used by both the player and the enemy. The player shot at a pirate's jetpack, causing it to malfunction and explode. Jetpack combat will definitely be fun to play around with. Then we had what is probably my favourite section, the story. We landed in the city of New Atlantis and it looked fantastic. The scale was huge and there seemed to be plenty of NPCs and life to the location. We went to meet Constellation and spoke to some people. We learnt about our mission to find missing artifact pieces with the goal of building something. Looked like a portal perhaps, something related to Constellation's main mission and the thing teased in the old Starfield trailer. Then we saw a lot of different clips of new locations, including Neon City and Aquila City. Some battles with different interesting creatures, and some more Crimson Pirates. My thoughts. First off, I was blown away by the NPCs and the animations. Not just the facial animations, but how they walked and moved too. It's always been a criticism of mine with Bethesda games, the fact that the walking animations always looked a bit robotic. And of course, the infamous Fallout 4's face animations were a bit off. It looked to be vastly improved in Starfield, and I think that I'm going to enjoy the conversations with different characters. Also, the NPC variety seemed impressive. I still wonder if they will have unique lives and routines that they follow. I suppose we'll have to find out. The main quest seemed to be pretty straightforward. Find the artifact pieces. We saw teased some of the different factions that we can side with, and I assume that each one will give us a unique mission to complete. Also, very quickly we saw a glimpse of lots of unique locations and story moments. Overall, I'm intrigued. Then we got to the nitty-gritty of the game. We started off with the character customization and background. As Bethesda have mentioned to us before, the character customization looks brilliant. Lots of good details, even down to how our character walks. We saw the much anticipated background selections. These represent your history and what notable deeds you did or skills you have learned. Then the trait selection. You can choose up to 3 traits. with each having positive and negative impacts on your interactions with the world. Next came the perk trees or skill trees. These seem to be divided up between 5 categories: physical, social, combat, science, and tech. Todd Howard, the all-knowing, stated that you can tag skills to unlock them, and you can even level them up by using them as you play the game to make them even more powerful. Using the resources you collect, you can customize your weapons with mods and take on research to craft new ones. The settlement building from Fallout 4 will make a return in the form of outposts that you can build on the planets. These act as home bases for you and will also collect resources. You can assign NPCs to work at them. Ship design and construction is an important and detailed feature of the game. You can change the look and layout of your ship, which change the stats of your ship, and also add a crew to your vessel. My thoughts. The main overall thought is, wow, I didn't expect half of these features to come to the game. I was keeping my expectations as low as I could, and they've just gone all out with Starfield, and added so many things that I'm honestly blown away. The game is going to be a real time sink. The customization, especially of your character, looks very promising. Having the backgrounds and traits to define your unique character is going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully these stats will have a big impact on how the world reacts to you and how you choose to play the game. My biggest concern about some of these features is that I hope that resource gathering and management won't take over the main mission of the game or interrupt the storyline. Hopefully these features will only be as important as you decide to make them. I like the concept of hiring settlers to work at your outposts and crew to man your spaceship. These will make the time you spend building and managing feel more alive and meaningful, and flying between worlds less lonely. Speaking of which, manual spaceflight confirmed by Todd himself. Not only will we be able to fly between planets, there will be space battles that we can fight in. My thoughts? The space combat itself looks exciting. However, we won't be able to judge the smoothness of the flying until we get to play it ourselves. It looks as though we can dock at space stations too. The ships themselves look fantastic, and explosions are fun. Having a cool ship is going to be a must in Starfield, as the map scale is huge. Todd confirmed that every planet and moon is explorable. You can land anywhere on any of the more than 1,000 planets contained within 100 solar systems, including, it seems, our own real-life solar system, as one image showed us walking past the Mars 1 rover, which is on Mars. My thoughts? Procedural degeneration is obviously bound to be used in the creation of so many planets. It's not humanly possible to handcraft that much stuff. The main towns and story locations will be hand-placed, but much of our time will be spent traversing vast landscapes on barren-looking worlds. Will there be much to find on these planets? Time will tell. Hopefully they can strike a good balance between quantity, which is definitely what they've gone towards, and quality. Those are the 5 main sections of the Starfield gameplay reveal with Todd Howard and friends. Overall, as I mentioned, the reveal surpassed my expectations, and aside from a few light concerns, I was completely blown away by what I saw. Now, I really want the Todd Howard Leather Jacket Constellation approved Space Watch Collector's Edition to drop, so that I can recklessly pre-order the game, and further feed the corrupt corporate monster that is the AAA video games industry. This is by no means the only video that I'm going to make on the Starfield reveal. I want to break down the content in further detail, and talk about any features that I think are worth mentioning. But for now, I just wanted to share my first thoughts on what we saw. Thanks for watching.